Hello and welcome to MAT-125, Finances and Consumer Math. Today we're going to look at homework from 431, homework number 10.3. And before we begin, I just want to introduce, if you have never seen this calculator before, this is a great tool that you can use for these types of problems, the financial calculations. So if you just search for Web 2.0 Calc, you can access this calculator. It has been recommended by several students. And also, on page 585 in your textbook, there's also excellent instructions on how to enter these numbers into your calculator according to these formulas that you're given. So the first one we're going to look at is using the compound interest formula to compute the total amount accumulated and the interest earned. So we have $9,000 for 6 years at 2.5% compounded monthly. It's important to look at the formulas that are given and kind of break them down into different parts when you're entering these into the calculator. Again, this is just one way. If you can look in your textbook on page 585 and see if those directions are clear to you, but also I'm just going to take you through step by step on how you can enter these as well. So the first thing we're going to do is figure out what each of the letters represent. So we have, in this case, our value of P is going to be 9,000. So I'm going to put here, actually right in the chat, we've got P is equal to 9,000. Our value of R is going to be equal to 0.025. And the reason for that is we are given this percent of 2.5. So what we have to do for that is we have to convert that to a decimal. So if that part isn't clear, I would recommend definitely practicing with converting a percent to a decimal. So the next thing we want to look at is T is equal to 6 years, and N, because N is the number of compounding periods per year. So it looks like we are compounding monthly. So N is going to be equal to 12. So essentially we want to find this amount here, and we have everything we need. So we've got 9,000 times the quantity. We've got 1 plus our rate is going to be 0.025. So we're just replacing those variables with what we were given in the original problem. And then our N is going to be equal to 12. All right, so this is all raised to the N times T power. So our N is 12. And our T is going to be 6. Just a suggestion, if you, I'm going to change font here. Let's see, if you do have, or change color, if you do have this N to the T, looks like I can't, okay. There we go, we'll go back that up a little bit. So N times T, I would definitely recommend multiplying that out first. So 12 times 6 is 72. So take a second right now, and I'm going to do the same, just to write down this expression that we have. So A is equal to 9,000 times the quantity 1 plus 0.025 divided by 12, all raised to the 72nd power. And I'm going to switch over to the Web Calc 2.0, Web 2.0 Calc, and I'm going to take you step by step how to enter this into the calculator. And again, it's just one way, so you just have to figure out a way that works for you. So let me share my screen. So here it is. The first thing I would do is actually I would enter 1 plus 0.025 divided by 12. And you can actually, if that is what you want to calculate first, you can definitely do that. So we can enter that in and we see that we get 1.002, etc. So that's everything. You're calculating everything in the parentheses. So the nice thing about Web 2.0 Calc is that you can see everything that you're entering step by step. And also, if you look at this button here, you can see your history. You have to look over these buttons here, and your history is right here. So you can always select if you want to go back. Okay, so the next thing I would do, if we're going step by step, is I would take that result and raise it to the 72nd power. So you see here, this is the result that we got when we added 1 plus 0.025 divided by 12, and now we're raising this to the 72nd power. So here we have this number a little over 1, and what we want to do is to multiply this number by 9,000. So see, you can still work within this calculator. Whatever your result is, you can work with it, and even if that 9,000 comes before all of that, it's okay. You can just type everything in here and you'll get your result okay. And again, different ways to solve, but you can choose whatever works best for you. So in this case, we get 10,454, and we are going to round to the nearest cent. So to do that, I'm going to actually look at these, the 8, the 7, and the 6. So for rounding to the nearest cent, we're going to look at the 7 right here. We're going to look to the right of that 7, and I think I moved over it a little bit. I switched it back. So 8.876, you're going to look to the right of that 7, and we see the number 6, so that is greater than 5, so which means that we round up to 0.88. So that 7 is going to round up to 8. So using that number, so that's for the first part of the problem. So let's go back. So jot down that number. We've got 10,454 and 88 cents. So let's go back. To our original question. Let's see what we're actually looking for. Here we go. So use the compound interest formula to compute the total amount accumulated. So that piece, that 10,000, you'll write it in the chat, $454.88, that's going to be our total amount accumulated. So then the second part of that question is, what is the interest earned? So if we originally had $9,000 to begin with, what is the interest that we earned over that 6 years? So for that part, you just have to subtract 10,454 and 88 cents minus $9,000. So take out the calculator of your choice, $10,454.88 minus 9,000, and we get $1,454.88. Put a $sign right near that, put the comma in. So subtracting 9,000 from $10,454.88, you're going to get, for the interest earned, $1,454.88. Great. So what I would suggest is just practicing these. I know you can use the show me an example. This is where I got this example for you. So just see if you can practice with those, bring those up, have the formula in front of you, play the recording again after you take your own notes and figure out what works best for you. So these are practicing. Most of this is knowing knowing which formula to use and how to enter that into the calculator. A different type of problem that you will encounter is this example here. So Jim Rosanowski wants to invest some money now to buy a new tractor. Oh boy, in the future. If he wants to have $175,000 available in 8 years, how much does he need to invest now in a CD paying 3.85% interest compounded monthly? So this one's a little bit different, right? So this one, we are looking at present value. And so the formula for this is going to be P is equal to uppercase A divided by 1 plus R over N, all raised to the N times T power. So P is the present value. I'll take you through this here. P is going to be the present value right here, or the principal to invest now. So we need to know how much we need to invest now. A is the amount to be accumulated in the account, and R is the annual interest rate as a decimal number. N is going to be the number of compounding periods per year, and T is going to be the time in years. So think about that for a moment. And based on our work with the other problem, see if you can pause this video and just figure out what the value of P, actually we're trying to figure out what P is, right? So figure out what the value of capital A would be, R, N, and T. So pause here and see if you can, on your own, figure out what those values are first before we move on. Okay, so hopefully you had a little bit of time to figure out what those values are. So what I'm going to do in this text box here is I'm going to figure out what those values are. So actually that's a little too small. Let's see. I'm going to switch over. I'm going to draw. Actually, I'm going to use that chat box. So I'm going to enter for capital A, we've got 175,000. And for our rate, remember you have to convert the percent to a decimal. So for the decimal, it's going to be 0.0385. For the value of N, we have 12 because this one is also compounded monthly. And the value of T is going to be 8 years. So hopefully you're able to get those values just from the original question. Now, put it all together. So how do we do that? So I'm going to use my pen here and put these all together. So that's what we're trying to find. We're trying to find how much Jim needs to invest. So my capital A, 175,000 divided by, always that 1. This is a little bit different than the other, right? But still, we're going to just do the same steps. 0.0385, and then divide that by, n is going to be 12. And then again, raise to that n times t power. So our n is 12 and our t is 8. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to just multiply n times t. So I've got 12 times 8, and that's equal to 96. So I'm just going to put this 96 right here. And this is the result of multiplying n times t. So that's 12 times 8. And the reason why I do this is it's just a little bit easier instead of having to do more steps into your calculator. And again, search on page 585 in your text to see if the steps in there are clear, but also I will take you through this. So just take a second to write down what you see on the screen so that we can head over to the Web 2.0 Calc. And again, the calculator is your choice as well. I just choose this one because it seems to be really easy to navigate through. And pause if you need. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing here. I have everything written down. I'm going to share my screen. We're going to move over into Web 2.0 Calc. So clear this out. This one's a little tricky because we have fractions involved, right? Fractions within fractions. Where do I even begin? So this is what I would do for this one. I'm going to keep my parentheses, 1 plus, keep these in parentheses here, 0.0385 divided by 12, just like that. And again, you can raise this to the 96th power right here. Let's try this since this is something different than we did before. All right, so it looks really nice up here, doesn't it? I love that screen. It's just nicely displayed instead of just entering it into the calculator as we typically do. So, okay, comes out a nice number. We've got everything in that denominator. So then with this, all you have to do is this is the result of the denominator, that expression that we just found the value of. So now you want to, all we have to do is enter in that $175,000. So you can enter it in right into the calculator because this part we already did. So let's see what we get as a result. All right, let me make sure that's correct. So we've got $128,673.60, so 60 cents. Again, I'm going to just back this up a little bit. So if you are asked to round to the nearest cent, what you're actually going to do is look at the 0, look to the right, the 0 is in the hundredths place. So normally when we round to the nearest cent, we're talking about the hundredths place. And we're going to look to the thousandths place and we see this number 4. So this number 4 is less than 5. So remember, to keep the number the same, that number has to be less than or equal, less than 5, excuse me. And so I'm going to, since 4 is less than 5, delete this and we keep this the same. So jot this number down. We have $1,128,673.60. All right, so I'm going to do the same. I'm going to switch back over. Pause if you need. Okay, so this part here, this is where we are at. So we actually calculated that this is equal to 128,000. Ooh, look at my two. $673 and 60 cents. So this is the, let's think about what we were trying to find in the first place. So we are trying to figure out how much does Jim need to invest now so that in 8 years he will have $175,000 available. So this would be your final answer. And make sure you write all the steps down and just, check that page 585, see what works for you. These are definitely, again, just trying to figure out which formula to use and also how to enter this into the calculator. And we'll talk about this in the next module as well as we go into financial planning. Great. So again, as always, some resources right now for you for MAT-125. Right in your course in Brightspace, you can navigate to academic support. You can schedule a workshop or one-on-one appointment with a peer tutor or a STEM coach. You can visit your learning community, and you can also access online tutoring. And right now we have Smart Thinking and NetTutor. And as time goes on, this may change, but just so you get an idea, I'm going to stop sharing and share my screen once again. There's our lovely calculator. I'm going to go right into your course. And so if you navigate to your learning modules, here we go. Scroll all the way down. It looks like it's already on there, but navigate to academic support. One thing I want to give you a little hint on, if you go to schedule a one-on-one appointment, the workshops are actually drop-ins right now, so you don't have to actually sign in for those, but they're always here available especially for the Writing Center. So the one trick I want to show you is that we do have math coaching available, but the word math doesn't appear for peer tutoring. So we have coaches available, and we also have peer tutors available. So what you want to do is click on peer tutoring. Scroll down a little bit. This is a student view. This is what you will see. And then click on math. And then the peer tutors will appear here, just so that if you can't get in with a coach, the peer tutors are also available, just so you know that their schedule is in there as well. All right, so let's go back here. If you visit your learning community, you have access to, click on Online Math Center here. On the left-hand, go up a little bit. On the left-hand side, we have a workshop calendar. So this is for you, and I'm going to go specifically to MAT-125, Quantitative Reasoning and Problem Solving Workshops. So this link right here to join the workshop, enter with your SNU email. It will give you all of the workshops labeled by module, week by week. And just an example here, if you click on some of these, I'm working on the recorded lessons for MAT-125. So this is where you will see all of the recorded lessons, and this is probably how you got here in the first place. So just so you know, these, you click on recorded lessons and you can view the workshops at any time. So you can also schedule a workshop or one-on-one appointment. There are also additional resources that you can access. So videos that your professor or instructor may have posted, algebra resources from the library. We've got recorded academic support videos, faculty recorded lessons, so you can decide what works best for you. And also our learning community. This is a nice space for students to connect. You can type in a question here, connect with other students, other peer tutors, other coaches. Sometimes you can search in this feed here if you have a question, let's say about mean or average, something like that. You can see, oh, let's check if someone else has asked this question. So this is just a good way to connect with others and really build that community. All right, so let's go back. Go back here into your course, and a couple of hints. If you click on subject-specific drop-in tutoring or math and computer science drop-in tutoring, these are very similar. But for now, what we have, I'm going to click on here. I'm going to scroll down. Click here to continue. So what this does is this puts you into work with a tutor or career coach. This is all available to you. And then let's click on math. Click on algebra. So I'm not going to click start, but what you want to do at this point is click on start, and you see this whiteboard up here. You can type in your question, you can upload an MS-Office document, and a tutor will be available, should be available. You might be put into a queue depending on the time of day or how many students they have at that particular time. But when you are ready, you can submit a question and a tutor should get back to you as soon as they can. So just another option if you cannot get in with a coach or a tutor, that is available to you. Excellent. All right, so I'm going to switch back, and I just want to offer to you, we have a couple of ways to get in touch with us. Those include email, stemcoach@snhu.edu. You can reach any of the STEM coaches. Peer tutoring at snhu.edu is also available to you, and a phone number. And in addition to that, we really appreciate any of your feedback. I know personally, I designed these workshops based on not only faculty input, but also student input. So that's something that's really important to me. And so anything that you can think of that would help us make these better for future students, or within this course, please let us know. And I just dropped a link in the chat there. You can just click on that. And if you wouldn't mind just taking a couple of minutes of your time to fill that out for us. But that's all I have for today. And thank you so much for taking the time to listen to all of this.